Hey guys, it's Liz Kelly. The NBA season is in full swing and the NFL playoffs are right around the corner. So make sure you check out The Ringer's original videos that go up weekly featuring our very own staff writers. Every Wednesday, Roger Sherman provides free sports lessons for the internet at large. And every Thursday, Kevin Clark's worst picks of the week let you know what not to bet on. And lastly, every Friday on NBA Desktop, Jason Concepcion offers up his thoughts on the latest drama around the NBA. For the remainder of the NBA and NFL season, you can find all of these videos on our YouTube channel.
Hello and welcome to Winging It, part of the Ringer Podcast Network. I'm your host, Annie Finberg, and I am, of course, joined by Mr. Vince Carter and Mr. Kent Bazemore. How's it going, guys?
What's happening?
Hey, Jeremy Lynn's now on the hot seat.
Yeah, third. What's up, bro?
You gotta stop with that. Have a seat,
It's
sir.
poetic justice. He started.
Your mic's
Oh,
right there.
man.
Pull it to wherever feels comfortable for you.
Let's talk about how Jeremy started a riot last night.
Freaking text riot last
Uh-oh.
night.
Oh,
Yeah, it was,
We'll
my
get
it was
there.
great.
We'll get there. I can't wait.
It was freaking
I really can't wait. I am feeling insane because I am joined by Linsanity and Vince Sanity. But nailed it. Oh, Baze is sleeping.
Oh, man.
Okay, I guess that wasn't that funny. But Jeremy Lynn is now with us. Jeremy, we're so excited to have you. Thank you so much for taking time for us on this off day. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we know you were busy, so I'm sorry.
You have a lot going on in
I
Oklahoma
think
City.
I think you know my exact schedule. So
What is your exact schedule?
whatever they send out at the night before.
So not a lot today.
Yeah.
Not too much.
A
not too
little
much.
kickback time for you.
Yeah, best city to have an off day, Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
To actually
How are
get
you
some
feeling?
I feel okay. I don't know. I went to the gym today. It's not. I don't know. It's not great.
No, sir.
sleep. He can't sit still, man.
No, sir.
Oh no, I had to go to test it out.
Oh,
today.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, I thought
okay.
you was like,
Oh,
no,
yeah,
I
you
need-
didn't play last night.
Yeah.
I thought you meant
Right.
like, I had to go play. Got to get it. Man,
Oh no.
you're older now, brother. Save it.
Nah,
Jeremy, I will say we missed you for Baze's little intro, his strike throwing.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
right.
TP filled in for you, and that was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in
Yeah,
my
he
life.
kinda
He needs to review the umpire rules. He went like this. He was like, strike.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Hang in there.
But
He
we'll
was
get,
adamant about being an umpire,
Oh,
too, by the
really?
way. Yeah, yeah.
TP, are you with me?
Kev is good. Kev is smooth.
Kev is good.
Yeah.
Kev is good.
Yeah, he's nice and smooth.
Kev, what? Bert Herter?
Yeah,
Kev, Bert,
Hurt.
Herter. Bert and Ernie.
Honestly, when you guys sent that picture for a quick second, I thought it was me because he's yellow. Because he's yellow in his hair, and I was like, "Bro, are they trying to roast me? How did I get pulled into this?"
I was about to screenshot and like color it red, but I just had to get it out there.
That's you guys have like a group chat. I'm guessing that you sent this
yeah.
out in.
Yeah,
Man, that group chat.
I feel like Kevin's a pretty good sport though.
it was on fire last night.
Yes, Kev's a good sport.
Yeah, he is.
And Omari is actually a good sport.
Yeah.
You know, he tends to be the butt of the joke a lot. Actually,
and he's a good sport about it.
believe it or not,
yeah,
he fires back. He
Yeah,
fires
he
back.
does.
He protects
I
himself.
like that.
Good for him.
That's you know.
That's what we're trying to teach. Stand up for yourself.
That's great. Yeah,
You get knocked down though. But stand up.
get back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which segues into your point about where it started.
Oh man, yeah. You want to talk about how it started last night with your poem?
So I set it up. So basically, the morning of the game, shoot around,
Mhm.
one of our
Yesterday?
rookies, yes, was a little tardy,
Oh.
and he's into poetry.
Okay.
So
We're not naming names right
yeah,
now?
I think you'll figure it out in a second.
Yeah.
So he's into poetry.
I know
and
who you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. So Amari, oops.
Oh. There it is.
He was late, and then Jeremy was like, you know what? We should write a poem called TikTok.
Well, no, it was not like he's late one time. Like he's
Right.
it's
Yeah, it's
he's,
getting old.
he's late as often as he's not.
Yeah, then
It's about
we're
50-50 split.
pretty
Not
close.
that bad, but close.
Okay.
Very close. Like, and we're only 20 games in, big fella. Come on, man. So he was like, yo, a great, I'll write a great poem called TikTok about, I set the alarm, but the alarm didn't go off. It was great. So after the game, we lost, but it was like a great, it was like perfect time and great pick me up. And all of a sudden, everybody's phone, you look up and it's like TikTok. and he had a poem. And next thing you know, the bus just like busts out laughing. And now it's just like darts thrown everywhere.
Oh,
Pew,
man.
pew, at
That's
him.
amazing. Can you
And
read
then-
it?
Ricky Rose Chronicles Volume 2.
That was pretty funny. Well, look, I only sent a poem, which is actually pretty.
It was actually pretty good.
It was pretty lighthearted. The true assassin in this is
Mr. Bazemore.
none other than Mr. Bazemore, who is
Why am I
just
not
going
surprised?
at these rookies and making them just not feel good about themselves.
Hey,
That's
man.
what a veteran's supposed to
Humble
do, though,
pie,
right?
man.
And then,
Yeah.
hey, and then Torian actually joined in too.
Oh, yeah.
There's some good
Torian
ones.
and DeAndre.
Yeah, there's some good
There's
ones.
some good ones.
But it was a short poem. It was a 10-liner. It
Okay.
was
Is
TikTok.
this like a haiku or something? I don't know the names. Of
Honestly,
the poems.
it
I
might
hate-
be, but I'm not really
That
sure.
was close.
that
That's what I would
means.
say.
Okay. We'll go with it.
A man was fading into a deep slumber, but forgot to set an alarm. Late again. Yet this man was fading again into a deep, deep slumber, but he set an alarm. No longer late. TikTok.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow,
Okay,
that's a Harvard
can you
education
guess who
right
that
there.
is?
Well, now I know after you just showed me that picture.
Oh,
That's
my
Trae Young.
God.
No, all right. Well, you can't even. The good thing is you can't show it on a podcast. It's all
Right.
audio.
Right.
Oh, man.
Right.
You guys can't see what we're talking about.
And the
folks.
other one,
Oh,
the
man.
first one.
No,
that
the
was
first
sent
one.
was- Oh, man.
I have a really funny one to show you, by the way, later. Is
That's
that
not
real?
him.
That's him?
Does it look like him?
I mean, I see the resemblance.
I'm not naming names. Somebody turned Amari into a big green.
Oh my goodness.
a big green like gummy or something like that.
That
Oh,
was-
the
that was Tori.
flubber.
yeah, flubber. Yeah.
So the first one was, man, you woke up.
You know, because
Who's that supposed to be?
That's he comes
Oh,
in.
wait,
It's like,
because
Oh, because he's tired?
Yes,
He just woke up
This is
late
how it
and he's
started.
TikTok.
his eyes.
It started with, the boxer basically is a boxer with a bunch of bruises under his eyes, swollen face. He basically, he's like, man. So when he walked in, he's like, man, you all swollen face? And that's where it started. And it was just
It was all downhill. From there.
downhill for the young fellas.
Well,
But
at
these
least they're
guys
good
don't
sports
know.
about it.
Yeah, when I was young, we would get on the bus going to school, and we had to get on the bus at probably 6:45. Super early.
I'll miss those mornings.
My commute to my high school was like an hour 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So we had nothing else to do, but joke. You got to defend yourself. So this is something I kind of learned how to do. One of my trades, my work of arts.
hidden talent.
Right.
But he had a lot of those tucked
Oh
away.
yeah, you gotta have you.
For a
Yeah,
rainy
you do
day.
you do your research. You know.
Don't
what
worry,
I
I
mean?
have one for you to add to it, by the way.
Oh,
I don't want to be held
This is
responsible
good.
for it, but I saw it on Twitter. It's like an emoji with some hair.
All right.
I'll show you later. It's pretty good. It's pretty
She
good.
said, I'll save this. This is the one that made him
He
run off.
did go to his barber today.
He
This is
did.
probably why.
Anyway, Jeremy, we have a couple segments we want to go through with you. A little bit about you, a little bit about when you got into the league, and then we have fan questions from our new segment called In My DMs. That we will go through with you.
Yeah,
Lord.
man.
We want to know all about Linsanity. I watched great little video of you earlier today, but tell us a little bit about playing at Harvard, what it was like to play in an Ivy League, kind of just how you got to where you are today.
Man, that's not sure where to start or where to go with this other than I never saw any of it coming. I didn't even see college basketball coming. So I remember my high school coach pulled me to the side and was like, I think you should consider playing in college. And I was like, no, I don't know. A couple years later, I'm sending my tapes out. I can't get any scholarships. I can't get D3 teams to look at me. And I'm like, I don't know about this. Luckily, Harvard came through. They can't offer, Ivy Leagues can't offer, athletic scholarships. So
Really?
yeah.
I did not know that.
So basically, my only two options were Harvard and MIT. And my mom was dying, pushing me so hard to go to MIT.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
And for me, I just didn't want to go to the East Coast. I wanted to stay in Cali. I wanted to go to Stanford, UCLA, Cal, anything in the Pac-10, anything close to home. But then I went to Harvard. That was quite an experience. When I first got there, I remember professors were like, you can only miss 2 classes, and because our game schedule, we were going to miss more than that. And so he was like, you just had to tell your coach which games you want to attend and which ones you don't. I was like, man, where am I?
What did I sign up for?
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is not what I hear about when it comes to college athletes. But again, the whole transformation of the program, Tommy Amaker comes in. Next thing you know, by our senior year, we are competing, beating Boston College and sellouts every game, and just crazy environments. So that's how it all started. And then I went to the workout scene, the NBA draft scene, went undrafted. And I mean, I'm a man of faith, and I just know that like at the 11th hour, whether it was college, because how I got in was like my second to last game in an AAU tournament that got scouted, and I was injured the whole summer, and I finally played in that tournament. Then the next tournament after, a kid passed away, and so I really only had like 3 or 4 games to show myself to the scouts. That's how I got to college basketball. And then the same thing, coming out, I only had a few games in summer league, and boom, 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 a couple injuries, and a spot opened up for me, and I got to play against John Wall, and that's how I got into the NBA.
Who did you play with in summer league?
I played with Dallas. And that was crazy too, because that was the only team of the 30 teams that were going to give me a spot. I couldn't get a summer league roster spot on any of the 30 teams. So when I say like everything down to the 11th hour, Linsanity was the same thing. I had gotten cut twice, but again, Houston was trying to keep me, so they told me to stick around, and they were trying to trade another one of their guaranteed spots, but it didn't work out. So they actually cut me 24 hours later than they were supposed to. And because of that, then Iman Shumpert gets hurt, and there's this 48-hour waiver wire window. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's the only reason why I was able to get picked up by the Knicks, is because I was still in that 48-hour. It was just time after time after time. And then, like, I could tell you more stories, man. Even Linsanity, the first breakout game, again, lockout year is we might have a lockout every 10, 20 years. And so it was that year. And only in lockout seasons do you have a back-to-back-to-back. And the Knicks had only one back-to-back-to-back, and my breakout game was the third game.
Wow.
In that one back-to-back-to-back. And again, a big reason why I was able to play was because everyone else was so tired.
Right.
And so D'Antoni's like, man, we're just going to throw this kid in there. And it was like a week before the cut deadline, or a couple weeks before the cut deadline, or whatever it was. So again, 11th hour type thing. So that's why for me, I'm always like, I had to give God the glory, because it's like I work hard, but there's so many times you work hard and things don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes you just need other things to happen. I ended up writing a list of like all the things that had to happen out of my control, and like I had like 13 to 15 things on there of just things that were just miracles. And if any one of those things didn't happen, I would probably be overseas or at home or doing something else.
What did you major in?
Econ.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't have any gray hair. That's impressive. I would be stressed to freak out.
I was so stressed, man. It was bad.
But let's talk about that, because I'm like, okay, for the average basketball player who goes through that, it's easy when that door closes, maybe 2 or 3 doors close. They say, all right, that's it. Or they result to plan B, C, whatever. How were you able to get through that and still have that faith? Oh, yes, your faith. I understand that. But sometimes at some point, did you say, that's not enough? I need, did you have somebody to constantly in your corner to talk to? Or it's just like,
for sure,
I'm just going to fight it out until that last door is closed?
No, like I wish I could say that. But there were many times where I was like, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And my family, the people around me, they were like, no, like we're not letting you, basically. I actually took my stuff out of the Houston locker room. I emptied my locker, and I told my agent, I said, call him, tell him I'm out.
Wow.
And so this was during training camp. It was one of the morning practices. We had practice at night. So I took all my stuff, put it in a bag. I took it, and I was like, I'm out. Tell him to cut me. Like I'm good. And he was on the phone with me for like 2 hours. So my agent is Roger Montgomery, and he was a boutique agency. Now he's with Rock Nation. But again, he's a super strong believer. And like, when I say I was stressed, like it was bad. Like I had like anxiety issues. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. Because my whole life I had been an underdog. And so it was easy. You just fly under the radar. That's what I've known. But then all of a sudden I signed with the Warriors, and I had Asia. Like I had a continent,
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah,
like rooting for me, and I'm like, dude, I don't know how to handle this. And I'm playing in my hometown. All my boys bought season tickets. Like, you know, I played at Harvard, a gym that seats barely a few, and all of a sudden I'm playing in front of 8,000, 9,000. Like I just, everything took me by storm. And so when I say the pressure got to me, the anxiety got to me, like I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. My agent would be on the phone with me for an hour and a half, 2 hours before every D-League game, just like trying to get my mind right. When I wanted to quit, when I wanted to walk away, he made me bring all my stuff back into the Houston locker room for night practice. It was embarrassing. I had my bag with me, had all my shoes, like everything.
What you doing?
Yeah.
Like, here for practice. That's it. Like people didn't know what I was going through. Yeah, it was bad. It was really bad. That's why, you know, for me to get to this point 9 years in, I'm like, house money,
crazy.
you know what I mean?
Right. You got that right.
Right.
Man.
Right. Dang.
That's wild. What was it like
crazy.
having, like you talked about, you have a whole continent behind you. Like I've heard you're like, when you go there, it's kind of like Michael Jordan here, right? Type
I'm
of
on
thing.
Weibo. So
Are you?
before he goes any farther.
You're on Weibo and you're not on Instagram?
Hey, you know, whatever. I'm on Weibo because what's up, Dave? You good?
Something.
So I was in China. This dude's crazy. I was in China, and they encouraged me to get on because I have a following in China and in Asia, and one of the first people I followed was Jay Lin, and it's unreal, like the following, and it's funny all the time. You see, obviously, you playing in Golden State, and just everything he does is the support and following is just amazing. So when I asked you about coming on the show, I put it on there, and everybody was like over the moon, excited about you and everything you do. So I already know. Like when you hear what he's got to say, it's just I believe it.
Wait, you put it on Weibo?
Yeah, I did.
Wow. And people went crazy
said,
for it.
hey,
I'm not on there, but maybe I should be.
Yeah, you have to.
I have a few fans in China.
Yeah, I told him. I said you got. I told him to subscribe so they can actually hear him. So he's a bigger part of our success so far at this fetus stage.
Should this be Winging It with Vince Carter, Kent Bazemore, and Jeremy Lin?
Absolutely.
That's a long title. That's a long title. But we appreciate you. That's crazy. When you go to China, wherever, Taiwan, what's like the crowds? Like I picture like security having to be crazy.
Yeah, I always go with the same security team. So I usually have like one bodyguard that's just assigned to me that goes everywhere I go, has the room next to me. And then there's a team of usually like 6 to 8 security, and they just go with me everywhere. So
That's wild.
It's actually pretty inconvenient because like if I just want to go to the gym or I want to go anywhere, like you have to get like 3 vans and move everybody. And but there have been some situations that have been really, really scary. And so I'm all for like safety nowadays. We've
Better
had
safe than sorry.
weird things happen, like people hiding in my vans and
gosh.
people hiding outside my hotel rooms
Hiding
and
in the stairwells. That's all of that.
Like because they want to meet you or like to commit a crime?
No, I mean they want to meet me. I mean, but
why
some
else
of
would
them
you
are
hide in a stairwell?
To get the opportunity to be close. Because I mean it's amazing.
Sorry, I guess I watched too much Law and Order.
Well, it's different. They don't get to see the NBA players.
That's
so there's another level of fanaticism,
Absolutely.
and there's also fanaticism of Western culture. So there's already like the U.S. influence, and then on top of that, there's the no contact with the U.S. or NBA players on a consistent basis, and then also the fact that I guess I'm Asian, so
it's a different world there. I mean, as far as like the fandom, it's a totally different world, man. Like me being there, I did in Shanghai, I did Yao Ming's game, and they were sleeping in the lobbies on the couches with their autographed item. They were sleeping in the stairwell just to be close and say, hey, you tell me to get out, fine, but I saw him.
Right.
Yeah.
We got to think about this.
That's
they stay up
level.
to 3-4 in the morning to watch a basketball game, which people do at 6-7 p.m. like it's nothing.
Yeah.
The sacrifice of doing that and going to work.
It's a great level of appreciation.
To
put it in perspective, we had a charity game this summer. We had 18 million people watch online.
Oh my
so
gosh.
that's
God.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
That's why
I was on a show. Yeah, I was on a show.
Next time, can you put a promo in for the pod?
But obviously that one had a lot of celebrities and musicians and stuff. But yeah,
Jeremy Lin coming soon. Come on,
How
man.
much engagement did that get?
14,000. And that was 2 days ago.
Jesus
Vince is talking
Christ.
about his Weibo account again. He's really
Nice.
into
I
it.
might have to create me
5
one.
million, by the way.
How many do you have on Twitter? Do you know?
no, I honestly have no idea.
We'll look later.
It's got to be like 1 to 2 or
Yeah.
3 or
Jeez.
something.
Million?
It's not, yeah. But
Same.
my numbers over there are gonna be
Same.
are gonna be better.
You have almost 1 million.
Almost. He has 1 to 2.
Wait,
to
you're
3.
on Twitter?
Somewhat, yes.
Oh, I
I got
gotta see this.
55,000 guys.
Yeah.
That's great, Baze.
At
24 bays.
more.
24 days.
days more. I'm,
Yeah.
Well, I have like 2,000. I mean, you're a celebrity. I'm not, but
I'm not.
whatever.
You
are
not
somebody.
even
You're on
close.
your way.
I might have 3,000 before you know it.
We're gonna throw
Killing
you a
the
You
party.
need to check these numbers now.
You
So
You're trending upward.
I'm trending upward. Yes, well, that's true with the show. Follow me at Annie Finberg.
Oh wow.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Cavo, Control Center by Cavo, is the one remote that does it all. This holiday season, help your loved ones take control of their TV with the gift of Control Center. Control Center cleans up your home theater so you control everything connected to your TV with one easy-to-use remote and stop wasting precious time searching for shows. Plug in your streamer, sound system, cable, or satellite, even your game console, and Control Center handles it all. It's easy to use for everyone, even your father-in-law who can't get the game. There's also a Find My Remote feature, so you don't need to panic if it disappears into the couch. Control Center works with Amazon Alexa and Google Home, so you can even watch TV hands-free. Relax this holiday season and enjoy stress-free TV with Control Center. Shop now and get 40% off Control Center with promo code WINGING IT. That's $59.95, 40% off regular pricing of $99.95. Control Center is available at caavo.com and Best Buy. Control Center by Cavo, one remote that does it all.
We're starting a new segment called Welcome to the League, where we are going to ask our two hosts as well as our guests kind of what their Welcome to the League moment was.
Welcome to the league.
So, Jeremy, we're going to start with you. If you had one moment, I know obviously the Linsanity stuff was crazy, but with a certain player on the floor or a certain play that you were like, holy crap, I'm in the NBA. Good or bad?
Man, I would say the first time was when I played the Lakers and I was guarding Derek Fisher and Kobe was on the floor. And I remember I was just waiting for the ball, like in the backcourt. And Derek Fisher just walks right up to me and he's guarding me. He's trying to pick me up 3/4 court. He just walks right up to me and just gives me a shoulder to my chest. And I'm like, chill. Like, I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And Derek Fisher's not Derek Fisher's like a Justin Anderson type body. Like a strong dude. But I was scared because it was Derek Fisher and I had obviously they're, coming off a few really great seasons. And so I didn't really say anything. But yeah, I think that was probably the main moment when I was playing against the Lakers in Staples. I was like, all right, you know what? This is for real. I'm here.
That's awesome.
That's crazy. What was give us I know we're getting short on time, but give us a quick, what was your mindset like during the Linsanity stuff?
It was just have fun because I was, cause my agent was basically telling me like, you're going to get cut. And this will be the third time that you're going to get cut this season, which means
You're cut.
Right.
you're pretty much done.
done.
And so he was like, my agent Roger was just like, look, man, if you're gonna go out, just make sure you do it playing your brand of basketball. Because again, I talked about the anxiety, the pressure, and so for the majority, I would say 80% of my games during my rookie year, I really didn't play my brand of basketball. Like I didn't feel like I belonged. The whole thing was just a surprise that I even got there. The whole thing was shock. Like a lot of NBA players, they kind of grow up around the game. They know at least people that were in the NBA or whatever.
Right.
It's not a shock to them. For me, I'm like, my parents are both 5'6". I don't know a single, like, I don't know anyone near the NBA. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even like, at Harvard, it was never like, hey, you're going to make the NBA. No one was saying that. Like, nobody was like, yo, you're going to make it. It was like, hey, you might be able to play professional basketball in wherever, who knows? Yeah, exactly. And so for me, when I finally got there, I was just like, man, this is such a shock.
Crazy.
And so by the time Linsanity came around, I was already like back against the wall. Like if I'm going out, I'm doing it my way. And I just went swinging for the fences. And
You did that.
and I did that. And D'Antoni was, I mean, that's one person that I like. D'Antoni is just the ultimate player's coach because
I agree.
yeah, man.
I played under him too in LA.
Yeah, the way that he like empowers you. And I remember I had one game where I had 9 turnovers and we lost. And he, you know, I got a call from him after the game. He's like, "You all right?" And I was like, "Yeah." It was actually our first loss during the Linsanity stretch. So we had won 7 straight, and then it was our first loss. And he was like, "Hey, just want to call to let you know, next game, go ahead and get 20 turnovers." I was like, "What?" He's like, "I want you to get 20 turnovers next game." He's like, "Because if you get 20 turnovers, you'll probably get 40 assists. I just want you going downhill all day, all night. Do not think once about your turnovers or stopping to attack. Like, just play through all of them." And again, that's why I played so well. It's like I had this coach that was empowering me constantly in my ear, telling me, go, trust your instincts. And so a big part of Linsanity is just being in that environment, being in a pick and roll system that's, you know, suited for my style, and then having coaches around me being like, "Look, we trust you. We know you're going to make the right play more times than you won't. Like, let it fly." And that's kind of how I played.
Let me ask you guys both. You're thinking your first game that you ever played, NBA, that counted, not preseason. That first shot. What were you thinking on that first shot?
And did it go in?
Can you remember?
Trying to figure
Come on,
out.
I don't even remember.
I can remember my first shot.
And that was like 50 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I remember my first bucket,
Yeah.
but I don't remember my first shot,
Okay.
which means it didn't go in.
Probably so, yeah. I mean, I just remember like, you know, where it was just, you know, you're excited about having that jersey on, and you know, I was curious to think like, what were you thinking? Like, okay, this is like business as usual. It's like, are you aiming, or just like, just let it fly, see what happened, or did you shoot it over the goal?
All I remember was I was drenching sweat, like, you know, from the workout, and you know, I was doing the whole Bazemore thing, celebrating on the sideline. And as soon as I took my warm up off, I was so cold. Like I was so cold. And that's all, like thinking back, that's all I remember. And it was like late in the game. Mark Jackson was my coach with Golden State. He would put me in the game with like, you know, 40 seconds to go for defensive purposes, switching. And shoot, that's all I really remember. But my first big moment was in the playoffs against the Spurs. We were in San Antonio. He puts me in, you know, late in the game. We get a stop. They switch. I was guarding Boris Diaw. He goes to screen for Tony Parker. We switch. He drives. You know, he going left, spinning back right. I play it perfect. I run down. Steph passes it to me on the break. I make a layup to go. We go up 1. So they call a timeout. I'm excited. Everybody's jumping on me. I was, you know. Then they run a play from out of bounds. And then Manu Ginobili shoots this like high arcer right in my face for game. And that kind of like killed that. Yeah. That was my welcome to the league moment.
What was
I
your
thought
most
Ray Allen
embarrassing?
was your welcome to the league moment.
Well,
yeah.
this playoff, Ray Allen banked, D-Wade, Ray Allen, LeBron James, kind of like all on a semi-fast break. And I'm the only one back.
Imagine that.
Oh, dude.
So I'm running, you know, turn and sprint, turn. D-Wade's coming at me, you know, he's all like kind of just, you know, lollygagging. And he shuffles it back at the last second. And I turn around. Ray Allen just picks the ball up like this, right on my head. Boom! Second foul, too. It was early in the game. I had to come out. Walk of shame.
He said the
Walk of shame.
What was your most embarrassing moment, or you feel, and for you, most embarrassing moment? Like you like,
The practice shorts.
Yo, that was hilarious.
It was
That was
hilarious.
good. For people listening, Jeremy wore his practice shorts out during a game.
in the game.
Well, we have been practicing so much, man.
He checked in. He played a couple plays,
I
right?
played a couple plays.
In his practice
This is our last preseason game against Miami this year. I was like, dude, I feel like a rookie. Like,
How does that happen?
I don't.
I think I
remember-
was away too long, like from the game. So like I just wasn't used to my game routine or something, and I forgot to switch my shorts. I had no idea.
I remember taking the ball out and I throw it to him, and I run by and say, "Hey, by the way, you know you don't have your game shorts on." He said, "I know," and then just kept going. I was like, "All right, cool. What we got? What play we have? All right, cool." He's cool.
You
I'm
just
cool.
went with the flow.
Yeah, he's
Well,
like,
I just kind of feel like in those moments you gotta just own it.
hey,
You know,
right,
you have
sure
to be
did,
like,
right.
like when you're late. You know, you just walk in and be like, I'm late. So what?
Right,
Sit
yeah.
down.
Is that what
Keep the
Omari
meeting
does?
going,
No.
huh?
Is that what Omari does? Walks in
he
and-
sits there, look like he's been in an 8-round bout.
and angry. He was sitting there.
Yeah. So I
At least they were black though.
So your most
Yeah.
embarrassing moment, and then we will do our final segment, and then we'll close. What was your that you can remember?
My most embarrassing moment was just so my whole rookie year, I only hit 1 3-pointer, and it was the last shot of the season, and I had to shoot it.
Oh, that's crazy.
I couldn't shoot. I couldn't shoot at all. And I remember, so it was like midway through the season, and I get the ball in the baseline, and this is like third quarter. We're making a push. We were down, put the bench in. We're making a push, and these are one of the rare moments where I got in. It wasn't garbage time. I get it wide open on the baseline, and the whole arena was like when I went into games my rookie year, like the arena would like sometimes have like a standing ovation
Right,
or standing
right.
because there's just so many Asians in the stands. And I remember just shooting it, and it was an air ball, and like it wasn't like an air ball like, oh, like it's a little short, grazes the net. Like it was an air ball, like everything that went wrong could have went wrong. Like it wasn't straight, it wasn't like close, it was way long, it was to the left. Like it was like a pass, bro. Like it was honestly like a pass.
So at what point did you know it was all bad? Like on the release or like
When
midway?
I caught the ball. Because I was so far in my own head. And like the other thing is like I didn't know how to deal with a coach who didn't believe in me, you know? So like
Right.
I was there because the owner wanted me there, but the coach wasn't really feeling me. So I was just nervous, bro. So when I caught the ball, I was like, dude, I don't want to shoot it. But everyone was like everyone's like cheering, and because I was so open, I had to shoot it. And I already knew it wasn't going in.
Man.
Oh man.
Did you do anything to play it off? Like I've seen guys like wipe
If
their
it was
hands
that
on their
bad,
pants
you
or
hate
something.
I
that.
hate that though.
Or they'll like look at their act confused as
That
to why it
bothers
didn't
me.
go in.
No,
That bothers me.
I beelined 100 miles an hour down the other side of the court and got in a defensive stance and was like, all right, just pretend like
Let me
nothing
lock up.
happened. We need to make that play back.
Let me get a steal or something.
Yeah.
Man, that bothers
You
me.
hate when people do the fake out of, oh, my hands were too sweaty.
I can't.
Because you really just airballed it.
I did it. I did it last night. I did it last night. Like, God.
And then he was like, I hate me.
It looks good. They black. You
It's
remember
like
that
an
Burning
impulse.
Man?
Man, that's great. What you got?
Dave's had a rough night. It's now time for you all to slide in our DMs with our newest segment, and we are sliding into Jeremy Lin's DMs right now because we are going to ask him some questions from the people.
Hang in there, buddy.
In my DMs.
My first question I'm very excited about because I actually wanted to ask you this. After I heard you say this on live television, I'm going to say, so I'm not putting you on blast. Raptor L wants to know how many posters of Vince Carter did you have in your room growing up?
I think I had like,
What, Faze?
Please, man. What's wrong with you?
I think I had 2.
Stop it.
Yeah. My bad, bro. I had 2. And it was just
The windmill one?
Raptors one. No, so there was one where it was like a whole bunch of U's doing like different dunks.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like
I remember that one.
5 of them
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something
I
like
remember
that. And then the other one was actually wasn't really a poster, but I had this like
Oh, the
magazine, NBA Inside stuff, and I would cut
Yeah.
out a ton of them. So I had like, 10, 15 of them up there, and it was just all the top players at the
Yeah.
time.
I remember.
I had a
that.
bunch of posters on my wall.
Did you have any Vince Carter posters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had like shoes. Man.
I had the shoes too.
Right.
I think
It's crazy.
I've been around a long
We
time.
were all part of the club, Vince Carter
I've
Club.
been around a long time.
Yeah.
I guess.
Had the
Years.
Frederick Weiss joint too.
Oh,
I used to
that
get
That was out of
What
the Slam
was it?
magazine?
Yep, Slam, and then Sports Illustrated
Sports
did a great
Illustrated had
job. Sports Illustrated had the best posters for
Yes.
a long time because it would be like the buy 4 ones,
And then you could,
right, tear it out
yeah.
and just open it up.
I had a couple of those.
Right.
too.
It's crazy.
So the answer to that one is 2.
2.
2, yeah. Question number 2 from the John saying, what do NBA players commonly misunderstand about Asian culture?
Everything. I would say everything, honestly, just because a lot of NBA players haven't been exposed to it. And so a lot of people think the stereotypical things, thinking like the equivalent would be if I thought that Pizza Hut was authentic Italian or something along those lines.
Dang.
Which I'm not like offended by it. I just know there's just no
You just don't
exposure
know.
to it.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I know that actually for my parents, like having to educate them, and as they met a lot of my African American teammates growing up, like my parents only knew what was in movies like Rush Hour. Like honestly, had no idea about anything. And so I'm actually really patient with it. And I had one teammate, I'm not going to mention this name. Don't even try to get it out of me. But he was like, what's the difference between Chinese and Asian? Like, I don't understand how you can be both.
Oh, no.
And I had to have like a 10-minute conversation with him, and he still didn't understand it. And I was like trying to draw all these different analogies. Finally, I drew an analogy in terms of like, you know, being African and a country from Africa, and how you can be both. And that one, you know, made sense, but he literally had no idea. A lot of people that, you know, some of my teammates have thought I'm Japanese, Korean, don't really know what the difference is. Think that, you know, they're like, oh, you're Chinese, you must love sushi, which I actually do love sushi. But
I'm about to say, this guy loves sushi.
I love sushi. But
By the
I
way,
mean, they think
that's different.
they're thinking that it's like a Chinese thing.
Right.
So not a lot, but I think that's the thing I love about the game. It just unifies everybody. Like that's
And
common. It's a bond.
it definitely educates too. I mean, if
Yeah,
you
it
take
does.
the time, like sitting down talking, I think that's why our team dinners are very helpful, because you get to learn a little bit about somebody else's background and culture. You know, we were talking, and I'll say this: I was asking, telling one of my favorite spots in China was Taiwan. I had the best time in Taiwan. It's very Americanized, but golly, man, they know how to have fun there.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Taiwan is. That's where my little brother plays. That's where both my parents are from.
It's unbelievable, man. Like it's you feel like they're very Americanized. They speak English there, and I mean you walk in and you get the best of both worlds there, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I will say the cultures are so different. I lived in Thailand for 6 months, which is not long enough to know, but the culture is so different, and like just norms. Like when you get back to whatever country, it's like if you put your feet on something in Thailand, like that is the biggest sign of disrespect. That's like flipping someone off. So it's just weird to readjust, but
It's called etiquette.
etiquette, yes. Do you want to try to pronounce this third to last name? Starts with a T.
Oh no,
Sheesh.
Ryan Lamb.
There we go. How does it feel to be an inspiration to a whole ethnic group, especially for us Asians, where certain stereotypes are still prevalent in society, which you kind of already answered, but
I'm not gonna lie. When I was young, I tried to run from it. All I ever wanted to do was be respected as a hooper. And so in college, every interview when I started playing well was like, "Yo, he plays at Harvard, but he's Asian." Like everything was, but he's Asian. And the whole story, I would talk about all this stuff, and the only thing they would ever talk about is how it was like to be an Asian and doing that. And so I always, same with Linsanity, I was like, dude, stop talking about me being Asian. Respect me for my hoops.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I really started to embrace it. And I'm like, man, I wouldn't ever have it any other way. To be able to carry this mantle, to be able to blaze this trail, you know, I think it's just awesome for me. Being Asian American is different, right? Like we see a lot of people from China, but we don't see a lot of Asian Americans. We don't see a lot of guards. They're typically like 7-footers that come over.
Yes.
And so
Very true.
there's a lot of different things, elements, you know, the whole Harvard aspect of being a student athlete, which again, culturally is like in China, a lot of the kids get sent to basketball school and they aren't student athletes. They're only athletes. And then when they retire, like it's tough. Like you see Yao Ming going back and getting his high school diploma and things like that. So there's been a lot of interesting dynamics, but I love everything about it now. I just try to be as real and as responsible as I can be. And that, you know, includes admitting and confessing a lot of my mistakes or when I'm not perfect. And I think those are, you know, a big part of the responsibility.
It makes you human too.
Yeah, you got to be real with your successes and failures.
I think because, you know, young kids or people in general put us on such a high mantle, I think when somebody can admit their faults, their wrongs, their, you know, lack of knowledge of something, it kind of now makes us real and human and humanizes us for the young people. Like, oh man, you know, I can still be myself, be a great basketball player, but still be human and respected as a human being, which I think sometimes does not happen.
yeah, they see you as very high up. I did like, Jeremy, when you called someone out for saying that they could beat you in one-on-one or something, right?
Yeah, these people be out of pocket.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
Like that happens all the time when I walk down the street.
Oh man.
I love that because you're so kind, and like I feel like you're not like Well,
Throws him for a loop.
after hearing about your poem, maybe you are a little petty, but
all the way. That was
but
great.
I
It
do
was
love
great.
that you like when someone says something you don't like, you're gonna call them out for it.
Yeah, so that's because in a lot of Asian cultures, it's all about it's called saving face, and so that's like the biggest thing. You see that in Crazy Rich Asians, right? It's all about the facade, like making sure that people on the outside don't see you as like having these major holes or flaws or whatever. And so for me, that affected me a lot. Where it's like, just be polite, just be the nice guy, whatever. And I realized like there's a difference between like I try to be like I try to be a humble servant and like live in that realm, but then like there's a difference between trying to strive for that and being a doormat. And like that's what I realized like midway through my career, even through the Linsanity thing, where everyone's like chink in the armor headlines, or like a lot of stuff was like, oh, he's calculating trajectories and like very Asian, which look, don't get me wrong, things are funny. Like when it's funny and it's not malicious, I'm cool with that. But a lot of the stuff that came out, the things that were coming out was just showed a lot of what's the word? Just like disrespect, or like ignorance. They were just oblivious. Yeah, they were ignorant. And so for me, that's when I was like, you know what? At a certain point, I'm going to start standing up for myself, which is why when someone challenges me in one-on-one, my first thing is always like, I'll play you for $1,000, or I'll play you for $10,000. Whatever you want. Like, let's do it.
Let's get it.
Because I know, because right then and there, they're like, all right, you know what? Like, now we're putting money on it. Like, I'll play you for $10,000. I really will. Like, bring $10,000. I'll bring $10,000, and we'll play to whatever rules you want. And then
let's go.
Because I think for me, like, I understand that, like, I'm not just going to disrespect you, or I'm not going to like talk to you in a condescending way, but I'm also going to stand up for myself and let you know that you can't just think any which way.
And I'll say this to people all the time, where you sit in the barbershop and you're like, oh, this guy can't play. He's terrible. He's what? I was like, well, just because you're sitting on your couch and you're watching TV and this guy looks like he's terrible. It's a lot different when you see him live. Like they might not play in the NBA. That doesn't mean they're good players. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They have
just
a job.
YouTube any NBA players. College highlights, and you'll be like, wow, this dude's a stud. Like,
exactly. That's what people fail to realize. Like, man, don't let your eyes deceive you. It's, in real life, these guys know how to play, and we train every day, whether you feel like we're good or not. So when we get somebody what we consider as an amateur player,
destroyed.
Even like the now 17th man or whoever, the two-way guys, anyone in the G League really.
And they play harder than anybody.
They do.
Because they're trying to last. So that's, I mean, like a guy on our team, like
Daniel Hamilton, I'll put him against any, bro. He can score so crazy.
These guys are so good.
Easy
everyone at this level is so good.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, it's different levels to it, which people don't realize because we always feature the highest level.
And it's relative. Like you put someone next to somebody else's starters, you're talking Jimmy Butler, LeBron, or Anthony. You're putting yourself next to the top of the top of the top. That doesn't mean that you're scrum. It's just it's relative to them. You're
exactly.
And there's so many factors that go into like playing that well.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like, what your coaches are telling you you're allowed to do.
Like team, all that stuff.
People don't think about all that. And I'll tell you, when you step on that basketball court, and check ball.
Come on with it.
When it's go time, it's go time. And the first thing they're gonna probably do is what? Cramp. I'm tired. Because I always say, if I'm gonna play an amateur, I'm gonna play you like it's playoff basketball.
No, you're supposed to do that.
Yeah, well,
you're supposed to do that.
And I'm going to.
Don't talk to me. Right. Don't call me out.
Call me out. Right. So I'm gonna play, and I always say, and my thing is, I'm gonna play you like it's playoff basketball.
No question.
That's how I'm gonna play you because I want you to understand what it's really like. Because I see you go through it. Every time you drive, you get hit, you get knocked down, and we shake it off like it's nothing. They don't see that every day. You don't go through that every day.
They ain't doing that.
It's different. You know?
If I took some of those falls, man, especially you all the time, like I think my back. We talked about this last year.
I got knocked out of the air against Cleveland last year, 2 years ago. I went up. LeBron tried to take a charge at home, and I did like a little somersault. Fell on my back. Man, it hurt so bad.
Shaq did that to me. But all he did was just stand there like this, and he flatlined me. I was trying to dunk the ball, and I flatlined.
I don't get up high enough to know what you guys are talking about.
I was looking at the lights like, what just happened? But I mean, I see that floor is not forgiving.
No, man. No.
You don't just bounce up all the time. And we do it all the time where we look at it as like, boom, we hit the floor, like, ooh, and we get right back up.
D-Wade.
The average guy is not doing that.
Nope.
Yeah, D-Wade had a whole marketing thing behind it. Fall down 7, get up 8. Like, that was his whole career. Just, he would fall so much.
Takes a toll.
Man,
I
don't
get knocked down, but I get up again. That's it for this week of Winging It with Vince Carter and Ken Bazemore. And today, Jeremy Lin. As always, don't forget to rate us 5 stars wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to write into us at wingingitthepodcast@gmail.com. And we will answer your questions on our show. Until next time.
VCZ.
Base.
Jeremy.
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.